So we have a big breaking news coming out. Do me a favor and share this video. Once again, thank you so much for your support. We have an update. Iran-US nuclear talks end with no agreement, but possibility of progress. Now, there were fears latest meeting could collapse, but both sides appear willing for more talks on uranium enrichment. Now, remember, guys, Benjamin said that he was gonna push the button if this thing does not work out between, again, the U.S. and Persia nuclear deal. All right, so give me a second. Let me just pull up this information, and it says here. By the way, this is coming out from OSINT Defender. Early reports suggest that the talks between the U.S. and Iran have broken down. The White House Special Envoy to the Mideast, Steve Witkoff, has reportedly left the talks, while the rest of the U.S. delegation remains, according to some news outlets. Alright, so we're going to see what's going on here, guys. And, yeah, you think Benjamin's going to push the button possibly this weekend? I doubt it. If there's another meeting coming up, then, they're still trying to work things out. But Benjamin is, again, he's the type of person that he has no patience. He wants this nuke deal to be done. So he feels like Iran is basically buying out time. All right, so that's why Benjamin is saying we're going to start pushing the button. They keep buying time, and I'm not going to tolerate that. All right, guys, before I start, for those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. And for those of you that want to contribute to the channel, we do have the PayPal link and the Cash App link in the comments box and also description box. Thank you so much for your support. Talks between Persia and the U.S. on whether Persia will be allowed to continue to enrich uranium inside the country have ended without an agreement, but apparently without the feared breakdown. The indirect talks between the two sides were mediated by Oman and held in Rome. Now, Persia Foreign Minister Abbas said late on Friday, "I hope that in the next one or two meetings, we can reach solution that will allow the negotiation to progress. With Oman's solutions to remove obstacles, there is a possibility of progress, but the negotiations are too complex to be resolved in one or two meetings." A U.S. official said the two sides had agreed to reconvene in the near future. I just feel like they're just buying time to continue building this apocalyptic toy, nukes. All right, so, and Donald said that he was giving them 60 days. It's way past 60 days. It's way past 60 days. Donald said, if you guys, can't agree with me with the nukes talk, then yeah, we're gonna start dropping some very powerful stuff. And yeah, it didn't happen. So it's been more than 60 days. Actually, I think it's been almost 90 days now. It's but apparently they still talking, and hopefully we come to some kind of agreement here. The talks continue to be constructive. We made further progress, but there is still work to be done. Both sides agreed to meet again in the near future. We are grateful to our Omani partners for their continued facilitation, the official said. Now, the Oman Foreign Ministry said in a statement, "We hope to clarify remaining issues in the coming days to allow us to proceed towards a common goal of reaching a sustainable and honorable agreement." I don't know. I'm thinking about Benjamin. Benjamin is going to call Donald, "Hey, Donald, I can't wait no more, man. Okay, it's been way too long. We have to strike Persia." The talks are being held against the backdrop of repeated warnings by the Holy Land to strike Iran nuclear sites. The Holy Land has long feared Persia is preparing to build a nuclear, there you go, a nuclear equipment, and is not, as it claims, pursuing a civil nuclear program. Now, the US president has been told by Gulf states that they do not want a further conflict in the Mid East that would be sparked by Holy Land attempt to bomb Persia. And once again, the US president has shown a surprising willingness to reach an agreement with Iran. All right, so those countries out there in the Mid East, they are urging Donald, keep Benjamin on a leash. When I say that, it's a metaphor. Tell Benjamin not to push buttons. That's what these nations, these countries out in the Mid East are telling Donald. You know, please have your ally, Benjamin, not to push button. We don't want to see any radioactive fallout going on. Because here's the thing. If the Holy Land fires missiles and hit Iranian nuclear facility, there's going to be fallouts. All right. And these countries in the Mid East, they're not going to tolerate that. They're not going to tolerate that. And on top of that, we have 60,000 of our sleeping giant soldiers out there. So just imagine a fallout, a radioactive fallout. I know Benjamin wants to strike, but Benjamin, I know you only think about yourself, but we have sleeping giant soldier out there, so you better, take a chill pill. So it says here, before the talks, the sleeping giant said it was a red line to prevent Persia undertaking any domestic enrichment, while Persia has insisted that as a number of nuclear non-proliferation treaty, it cannot be singled out by preventing it from continuing with a program of domestic uranium enrichment. It has offered to put strict limits on the size of its stockpiles and the purity of the uranium. The starkness of the public defenses on both sides concerning enrichment led observers to fear that the fifth round of talks would lead to a collapse, with the unpredictable consequences for the Mideast. Unpredictable, that's a very big name, important name there. Unpredictable consequences for the Mideast. Those countries out there, again, they're sounding the alarm. And I did talk about it yesterday. Those countries saying, look, we don't want a radioactive fallout. We don't want our atmosphere to be, the sky, the air to be impacted. We don't want our water to be wormwood or bitter or poison. All right, so it says here, but although Oman did not immediately set a date for the next talks, there seemed to be a consensus that a further round would occur. Oman's foreign minister, I'm going to skip his name, said on X, there had been some, but not conclusive progress. All right. So, again, these countries are very concerned. They just want this to kind of come to an agreement and, leave nuclear facility sites alone. It's like this, you see a wolf spider. All right. You see a wolf spider in your house. And you see that it has something on its back. Her back. It's a female wolf spider, and it has something like. And then if you step on it, you kill it, you got thousands of these eggs, spiders, just all over your house. That's radioactive, yeah. And that's when people will possibly move out of their homes or get pest control. So, U.S. is the pest control. Put it like that. All right, so it says here, countries such as the UAE that have a small nuclear program based on imported uranium have suggested that Persia could follow this example by importing the required uranium, but Persia regards its position as different since it has had to undertake so much sacrifice in the form of U.S. economic sanctions to pursue what it says is a peaceful civil nuclear program. It believes it has a sovereign right to enrich uranium and point out the Holy Land has an undeclared nuclear weapon that the U.S. does not demand it relinquish. So you guys already know. Donald has said it many times. He's not going to allow Persia to have nuclear. All right, so, but my gut tells me Persia has at least one or possibly two. Some mediators suggested as an alternative that Persia could pause enrichment for a fixed period, or that in addition to enriching domestically, it could form a civil nuclear consortium, consortium with Saudi Arabia, so providing extra reassurance and knowledge about the nature of its domestic program. For reasons not yet clear, Steve Witkoff, the U.S. chief negotiator, he left the meeting early. Let's stop there. He left the meeting early. All right, guys, it's Friday. You know, you could work only 5 hours. Again, get this job done. Unload the truck. If you unload this in like less than 8 hours, you go home. I pay you the full day. Again, this is not no warehouse job. This is something very important. Steve Witkoff left the meeting early. Something bad went down. I believe so. You don't leave this important meeting. You don't leave early. You don't. This is the most important meeting in the world. And you got Mideast countries are keeping an eye on this. And also you have the Holy Land, Benjamin, Prime Minister, keeping an eye on this. You don't leave this meeting early. It doesn't matter if you have an emergency call. You can't. For some reason, not yet clear, Steve Witkoff, the sleeping giant chief negotiator, left the meeting early. And the U.S., unlike Persia, issued no immediate statement on the talks. If things were good, if this meeting were good, they would have said it. They would have said, yeah, you know, it was a great meeting. You know, we had a cup of coffee, some donuts, everything went well. Nope, there was no statements. There was nothing. Steve Witkoff left early. Something went wrong today. Before the meeting, Steve Witkoff had met Holy Land officials, including the head of Mossad, David Barnea, as he had in the context of previous negotiating sessions with Persia. So he left early. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Just looking at this picture, it seems like they all grouchy. I'm sorry, guys. Let me show this picture really quick. It seems like they all grouchy. Give me 1 second here, guys. I want to see if there's any more updates here. All right. Now we have more breaking news. Talking about uranium and stuff like that. Donald just signed something here. And I went live last night. We talked about this. Donald just signed an executive order aimed at expediting the regulatory process for developing nuclear power stations. The order also directs the nuclear regulatory commissions to reduce reliance on foreign technology and booster the U.S. nuclear industry. It was signed today. All right, so someone said this is a big deal and a slap in the face to the climb, you know what, agenda. All right, so let me bring this one up too. Donald said this is phase one for our AI program. White House Staff Secretary Will said the first executive order relates to the need for incredible amounts of power at defense installation and AI focused installation. It will speed up the approval and adoption process for specialized nuclear reactors at these sites. You know, again, guys, like I said, I was never into like AI stuff, and I just feel like eventually in the future we're gonna see something, and there's a possibility we are gonna regret it. Okay, 5 minutes ago, you again, RIT just posted this. Give me a second here. US wants to be an AI superpower and needs lots of electricity, Treasury Secretary Bassett said. But Norris, I'm skip their name, has led to legal morals. On Donald will streamline infrastructure permitting and get the U.S. back to building again. All right. Once again, that's a big breaking news. I want to bring this up really quick. This is going to be my last one. U.S. officials say Donald and Benjamin have clashed over how to handle the situation in the Mideast. Frustration is building inside Donald's team, with some advisors now questioning the value of going out of their way for Holy Land. While officials stop short of calling it a rupture, many in the Donald administration are increasingly frustrated with the Holy Land stance towards Washington and the region. There's a Qatari in the administration who doesn't particularly care for the Holy Land, not one we should be doing favors for, said a former official. Benjamin's lack of defense is also straining ties. The most difficult person to work with is Benny, added a source close to the White House. And I mentioned this on my live stream last night over Grand Supreme News. I mentioned sometimes Ben just gives me a headache. Because, again, you know, I just feel like, look, I stand with the Holy Land, I do. But, you know, how you look up to certain politicians and others you don't. Well, Ben is like one of those persons. He only think about himself. I mean, you got innocent young ones, and he literally just pushing the buttons, you know, and it just, and I feel like he's using the sleeping giant. I don't know, but again, like I say, guys, I do pray for the Holy Land. I pray for everyone, and I pray for Ben. I pray for everyone to repent. But yeah, it's not looking good. Donald and Ben is like, I don't know, some issue going on between them two. They're not seeing eye to eye. And I told you guys, Ben is acting kind of strange. So, again, those innocent out there, you know, again, they're innocent in God's eyes, those young ones. And there is a lot of Christians out there. Believe it or not, there's a lot of Christians out there. And they're seeing the wrath of Ben. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please share the video. For those of you that want to send us letters or prayer requests, you can send it to me, US Santiago, or my wife, Jessica Santiago, at 3432 US Highway 19, number 2, Holiday, Florida, 34691. Once again, guys, $5 a month Patreon. We get you access to our live stream once a week. We talk about things that we cannot talk about on the platform. Also, I posted videos today. Those links will be in the comments box. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. Put faith and trust in Jesus Christ. For He's the only way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through Jesus. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time later. Peace.